WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment, I've got Carl Baker, Assistant Director with the Montgomery County Emergency, Moultrie County. Wow. Carl, let's just turn your microphone on and let's get going.
How you doing, Grayson?
Good, Carl. Not as good as I thought I maybe was. Assistant Director with Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency. There's no shortage of sometimes just messing up. Carl, thank you for joining us here today. And the topic you brought to the table here is farm safety. And why not? Because obviously we've got a lot of implements, combines. The big stuff is out in the fields and a lot of trucks moving on those roadways as well. What would you like to say about farm safety first and foremost?
Well, let's start off with just sharing the road. Coming over here, I passed a few pieces of implement equipment, and it's being cautious. It's being patient, and it's giving yourself time to get there. I was laughing with the receptionist when I came in. She goes, "You're early." It's like I gave myself time, and we need to give ourselves time when getting there and sharing the road. So I got a couple of things to say about sharing the road. I got kind of 5 little things to keep in mind. Be alert and cautious. Give the large farm equipment and other slow-moving vehicles the space. They are a lot bigger than us, and they need the room. And if you're traveling on the country roads, there's not a lot of space there to give. So give them the space that they need. Do not pass in no passing zones. I've watched cars do that, and there's a no passing zone for a reason. And you can't see around that equipment. You're coming up on a slight incline on the road. In those areas, it's just not safe to pass in no passing zones. Intersections, right now we've got corn that's tall, and I cringe every time you come to a 4-way. 2 ways has a stop, the other 2 don't, and it's just like, is somebody going to blow that stop sign? And I've watched them blow it right in front of me. And it's like, and I crept, and I had the right of way, and it's just like, let's be cautious on the roads in that area. So don't pass. Also be cautious when we're getting into bridges that the equipment's got to come over a little bit more. Railroad crossings are among other things. So that's the second thing. Make sure the tractor's not trying to make that left-hand turn. That's important before you make that pass on the left. They've got to make that swing out, and so be careful on that. You see a lot of people doing it today, and that's tailgating. Yeah. Do not tailgate, travel too close to those big pieces of equipment. You're in their blind spots. You can't see the mirrors. And if you can't see their mirrors, they can't see you. So do not tailgate. Don't get too close on it. I know that we live in a society that it's run, rush. Give yourself time. And then that last point about sharing the road, be careful. When you do get a chance to pass, oftentimes, farmers will move their equipment over when it's safe for you to pass. So they're looking out for you too at the same time. I also noticed that, when there's a mailbox come up, they tend to get back over, because if not, we're going to take mailboxes out in the country. So again, if it's going to be safe for you to pass, they're going to get over and let you get around them. And so those are just 5 points to think about when sharing the road.
I was going to say, typically, I do see the farmers, they're pretty actively looking out. And generally, when you see that long line of cars behind them, too, the second they can do it, they will just pull over and sometimes even stop.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Let as many cars through.
Yep.
And then get on their way as well.
Yes.
So, as you mentioned, and you practiced what you preach here today, but just leave a touch earlier.
Leave a touch earlier. You get there a little bit early, stop at McDonald's and get an iced tea or a hamburger or something, and just, you're safe. You made it.
Just relax.
Just relax.
Just relax a little bit. And sometimes you mentioned the hustle and bustle. You mentioned I got to run. And sometimes you just go, you sure?
Yeah.
Just slow down just a touch and doing so.
And then, these are really, you think about this in the daytime. Think about this at nighttime now.
Right.
They've got lights on, they're flashing. You may not be able to see the orange triangle because it's covered in soybean dust or corn dust or whatever. And so, again, they will come up on you real quick, because if you're traveling at a high rate of speed, they're not. And all of a sudden, they're right there in front of you.
Well, and you mentioned it like, just coming here, all the trucks and things like that, too. I mean, we think about with semis, you mentioned the mirrors. If they can't, if you can't see the mirrors, they can't see you.
Exactly.
So the space is just, please do it. And you mentioned the tractors and the left turns kind of swinging out wide right.
Yes.
And then turning left. Well, Don't be confused that they're headed right all of a sudden when they're trying to get, and
Exactly.
Just again, if you see them, just be a touch more cautious.
Absolutely.
So for you, there have been a lot of combine fires around the area.
There have.
I'm wondering if you can just tell me a little bit about how many you know of, first and foremost, but kind of ways to be a little safer in those combines,
Sure.
as tough as that might be.
I did a little bit of research before coming over here to see how many we've had just in the central Illinois area. So far to date, there were 3 separate combine fires in the Nokomis area. Clinton, Illinois had a combine fire that spread to the bean field. Sidney, Illinois, up by Champaign County, had a fire. Iroquois County, West Central Illinois, one farmer reported 2 separate fires in the same soybean field. Hammond, Illinois had one. South of Bethany had one, and then just reported on news this morning that the city of Ogden, there was a implement equipment piece of a fire over there also. So just in that small central Illinois section, there were probably almost eight fires.
And that is pretty appalling. Like it, and we know it's dry.
Yes.
But my question to you now, I'm hearing about these combine fires. What causes them necessarily? Is it the implement, just a quick spark that does something? Can you help me out?
You don't even have to have a spark. That equipment gets hot. And we are in drought season. I mean, we had a little bit of rain about a week and a half ago. I still have cracks in my yard the size of the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's like I could build a bridge over that thing. But when you think about it, how dry those fields are. You can see how dry that corn is. You see how dry the beans are. And that equipment is working overtime. I mean, the farmers are wanting to get it out. And that's their job. That is their profession, their livelihood, and they want to get that product out, get it to market, get it to wherever they're going, whether it's to the river, it's to ADM, wherever they're taking it. So they're working, and the ground's dry, the humidity's dry, the winds are a little bit picking up, and you got hot equipment on it. And so it doesn't have to necessarily spark, but it's just that sitting on hot equipment just can ignite. You talk about, corn dust is volatile.
There you go.
There you go.
So a little less about the spark, maybe more about the smolder.
Smolder.
We'll do it. Huh?
Yeah. And it just sits on that equipment. I've seen some farmers that are carrying leaf blowers, battery operated leaf blowers in there so they can blow off some of that kind of builds up on the head. They can blow it off there. Again, the fire extinguishers are important. It was reported on WICS news that one of the farmers over in that east central part of the state has a 2,000-gallon tank that he's filled up with water. And that actually helps out, if there's a fire and the fire department can get to it. And in your middle of a field, there's no hydrant to hook up to. And, some of those brush sprayers that fight the fires, they'll hold 400, 450 gallons of water, but then you're out. Now you got to go replenish. Having if you've got a tank and you can leave it there at the field with 2,000 gallons, a lot of water to help out in that fire. So, you think about those fires, farm fire risks and preventions, combine fires are probably one of the most common and the most expensive fire in ag production. And so that's just the reality of it. I
mean, combines are expensive.
They're very expensive.
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. So you think about it, practicing things that contribute to fire risks. Environment is one of the biggest things. You've got low precipitation, you've got low soil moisture, you got relatively low humidity, winds, and temperatures. You think about it, a grass or a brush fire, let's just say that happens, can travel up to 15.5 miles per hour. In a matter of a couple hours, it can consume thousands of acres.
15.5 miles per hour.
Can consume thousands of acres. So, if you add the wind in there and all that other stuff, that spreads relatively quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And so, so environment is one of the big things that also contributes to that. 85% of the fires are actually human caused. whether it's burning debris, and we've had several counties in central Illinois that have gone to burn bans. When we got that rain, counties have lifted that. Other counties have, kept it in place. And the way that we're going right now, some counties may be bringing the burn ban back. So listen to your counties in terms of that. So don't go burning debris, but that is a contributing factor. That hot equipment is again a human cause, and then people like to flick the cigarettes out the window, and even if you're maybe a driver of one of those grain trucks and you're a smoker, don't be careful on where you flick the cigarette butt, and go from there. So, but that's all contributing factors when I say that 85% human cause of fires.
Thank you for bringing the numbers here today, because this is what kind of, I hear about it, but then you bring the numbers and it starts to make a little more sense. I hear combine fire and I go, well, why? What's the combine doing that maybe is causing that? Well, it's just real hot and it's real dry.
Right.
That's a recipe for a potential fire. 15.5 miles per hour for a field fire spread is crazy.
And I want to just, that came from the National Fire Protection Association. So I give them the credit. That's where that number came from, that data.
That is insane, though. I mean, to think about how fast, and how fast it can truly spread, but to know how fast it's really doing so, and then 85% being human caused. And I know you mentioned, just because the equipment's hot, it's not necessarily the farmer was wanting to burn his whole field. It's not that. It's just it was technically human caused in doing so.
Right.
Anything else when it comes to combine fires that you brought to the table here today?
No, you think about that too. Around the farm, just operating your farm and that during fire risk conditions, even though you can't stop, we've got to be mindful of what's around. What also can cause that, maybe the lack of equipment and maintenance. I know that they, at the beginning of the season that they're working on equipment. The equipment is up to date and ready to go. Again, maybe it's just taking that extra few minutes to clean off some stuff, let that equipment cool down. I know that cuts into the time of trying to get things out. And I know that farmers they're working long hours, starting before the sun's up. They're working in the fields till it's dark. But a few of those things, making sure that the debris clogged cooling systems are cleared off. Again, those type of things contribute also to those fires. So when we talk about that, we want to be, very careful on that.
And the reason we're having such a lengthy discussion about it is because of the combine fires that Carl mentioned earlier. Nokomis area 3 alone, you had Clinton, Sidney, Ogden, Hammond, and more. Yeah. I mean, these are popping up all over the area. And some of those other recommendations, as you mentioned, if you've got a tank of water, bring that out to the field if you can. I assume maybe even tillage equipment might help in that regard, if at all possible.
Oh, absolutely. There's been some farmers that have actually tilled in a little bit so it would stop it from continuing to spread. So, yeah, absolutely on that.
Is another option for you there. So there are options to stay safe, but sometimes these things just arise and you got to be prepared for them in that moment. And your response to it will be a lot better if you are prepared for it. That's why we've got Carl Baker in here today, Assistant Director with the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency. Carl, let me get you right here before we take it into break. We'll be right back with him in just one moment. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
WTIM.
Last year. How about we do something this year and fix the driveway this year like you said you was going to do last year, which would be this year, which was last year's next year. If you're confused, here's some clarity. Call Cousin Bill at Illinois Paving today. ILPaving.com.
The holiday season will be here before you know it, and holiday entertaining that comes with it. Hi, Darren Seaton here, manager at Taylorville Home Source. Yes, it may be a long time away, but believe me, it'll be here sooner than you think. Now's the time to stop by and pick out your new kitchen, flooring, or bathroom you're wanting installed in time for having the family in for the holiday season. Don't wait. Get on the install list now before it fills up. Taylorville Home Source is your local design center. East Park Street, Taylorville.
This month, Chanson's Heating and Air is in the pink.
Yes, we are.
I gotta say, that's a mighty fine pink shirt you're sporting, Troy.
I make this look good.
Chanson's has been in the comfort business for 35 years.
And this month, you can help us provide extra comfort for some very special people.
A portion of October sales will benefit HSHS St. Anthony's Women's Wellness Center, providing support to local cancer patients and their families.
Jansen's will donate $10 for every service call,
$15 for every time we improve the air quality of someone's home,
and $50 for every new system we install.
and as always, we do it proudly in our special pink shirts.
It's our favorite color.
I guess you could say we're tickled pink.
Yeah,
Makes you think.
sure.
Who knows, this money could provide the missing link.
Okay,
Wink, wink.
that's enough.
562-5201 or visit jansonsheating.com.
I wish I could give you a pink slip.
Finding the right employees can be a real challenge these days, whether you're hiring full-time or part-time. That's where the regional radio stations come in. We're here to help you connect with the qualified candidates you need. Check out IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. It's part of our comprehensive radio and internet employment campaign designed to get your job openings noticed. For details, just reach out to your account manager. Put the power of radio and the internet to work for you at IllinoisJobPost.com.
Hi, this is Will Perkins with Taylorville Community Credit Union. Find out about all the products and services we provide by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Beat Old Man Winter. Get on the waiting list now at Taylorville Estates Assisted Living at 705 South Houston. Stop shoveling snow and enjoy life. Click their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first and landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman. Joining us in this segment, Carl Baker, Assistant Director with the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency. We've been talking farm safety. We're going to pick up right where we left off. Carl, you've got some steps to preparedness you'd like to share.
Absolutely. So one of the things that would be very crucial is check the weather forecast. If conditions are expected to be dry and windy, I know you don't really want to say wait because you need to get the crops out. And so just be mindful of the weather conditions and check those. Ensure that the address on the mailbox or wherever it's posted on your rural route is very visible for the road, because when we start talking about deploying fire departments and all that, they got to know where to go, and so making sure that address is clearly visible. Know the exact field identification and location. Just can't say it's down by the red barn. How many red barns are there, or whatever. So know that location. And again, we said keep water or some type of equipment that will help maintain and contain the fires, whether it's a fire blanket, if it's a small fire, water, fire extinguishers, things like that. The other thing too is have a plan for livestock, because sometimes the barns go up. There's feed in there. There is, the animals are stored. Maybe there's hay lofts in there, and that will go up just as quickly. So have plans for your livestock also. Just a couple things.
Okay, so check the weather. Ensure that your address is very visible for the fire department if that response is needed. Know your field ID. Keep water or field equipment that contains the fire, and think about those animals if you got
Absolutely.
them. Okay, so those are some steps to preparedness presented to us by Carl here this morning. One other thing you wanted to mention was electrical safety.
Oh, electrical safety on the farms is very crucial. You start thinking about it again. We've got farmers that are working long hours. We start to see them. There's fatigue that sets in, things like that. But know where the electrical lines overhead are. It may be direct or indirect contact with an overhead power line. But again, sometimes those augers come into contact with it, or maybe the semi that's hauling or loading the grain, and the bed is up and it just comes in contact. Those are very important things to know where those power lines are. And if it comes in contact, make sure that driver stays in the vehicle. Call 911. Power company, because you're going to have that power grid shut off. do not have the driver get out. There's certain steps to do that, but the person that's trying to convey the message to the driver that's in there, don't get close. Stay 50 feet or further, just because that charges the ground also.
Yes, sir. Well, Carl, thank you so much for joining us here, and thanks for coming with so much stuff today.
I appreciate it, Grayson.
Of course. Carl Baker, Assistant Director of the Moultrie County Emergency Management Agency, here on WTIM, your information station.
Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael.